uh, I was really seeing the kind of confidence that the student community was showing towards the presentation. Especially I was seeing grade one. I was really shocked to see the confidence shown by grade one students in presenting things. I must say that when I was in my school, when I was a student in my school level, I was I always had the fear to face the audience. I did not get a chance to face the audience, first of all. My teachers never gave me a chance to face the audience. Moreover, since they did not give me a chance, I never faced the audience and I had so much of fear. In fact, when I became a teacher also, the same inhibitions or the same inferiority complex started following me. And I must say that when I became a vice principal, one day my principal understood that I am bunking all the assemblies. Okay, the vice principal is bunking all the assemblies. The reason is they will invite, or during the assembly, the children will invite vice principal to talk. So my principal found it. And he asked me next day onwards, it is mandatory for you to attend all the assemblies. And he stopped coming. So if the principal is not speaking, automatically by default, the vice principal should speak. So I still remember the first day that I was standing there on the stage, literally shivering, and I was really searching for words. I really did not know what to speak. It's because we were brought up like that. There was no opportunity. There was no opportunity to learn extra. There were no encouragement. I must say that now you people are so blessed to have so much of technology in your hands. More than that, your parents are well educated. Your teachers are well educated. They can guide you in the right way. You know, I never heard about IIT when I was in my school, when I was doing my schooling. When I completed my 12th, that time it was known as pre-degree, pre-graduation. So when I was doing all those things, there was no one to tell me that there is something known as IIT. I never heard about IITs and all. I'm seriously telling you, it might look for you people like little bit of exaggeration, but no, that's the truth, because we are from a normal village. So we never heard about IIT. That kind of exposures were not there for us. But now, starting from the basic, you might have heard for civil service preparation. Nowadays, we start from grade 6. The 6th grades are going with the preparations. I really don't know what is the use of it, first of all. You just need to read a lot. If you want to prepare for civil service, read and read and read. Whatever you get in your hand, you read. Build general knowledge as much as possible. Read newspapers. If you can read 3 or 4 newspapers on a daily basis, this is only for civil service aspirants, okay? If you can read 3 or 4 newspapers on a daily basis, that's the best thing to get into civil service. So this project-based learning, this particular program, let it be a beginning of every such kind of dreams. I want everyone to come forward and present their own mind, their own heart. So children, you all should be independent. And the past 3 programs, I saw the independency level in our kids. So definitely, I'm expecting the same kind of a wonderful show to be there from you people also. Anyway, thank you so much. Thank you so much for inviting me as the guest of honor today. God bless you all. Thank you. All the very best.
Thank you, sir. Over to grade 9 for their presentation.
Good afternoon, everyone. We have gathered here to witness a presentation on the topic Anthropocene and Humanism, prepared and presented by the students of grade 9 as part of the project-based learning program. The questions we'll be answering in this presentation are: what is Anthropocene? Why Anthropocene is not accepted as the current geological epoch? How Anthropocene activities are affecting the environment? Anthropogenic fiction and the concept of post-human. What are the predictions from the course of evolutions for human beings during the Anthropocene? Scientific solutions to prevent adverse effects of anthropogenic activities. Remedial measures taken by different countries to reduce the effects of anthropogenic activities. And if the Homo sapiens are facing an extinction, what will be the fate of our Earth? Without further ado, let's get the presentation with a video.
I think Sridevi's lost connectivity.
We can wait for her. We will wait for her.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Yeah.
Audio is not shared, Sharika Miss. Audio is not shared.
I 6 and 9.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Vibha S. Govind of grade 9, and today I'll be discussing two topics related to Anthropocene. The first topic is what is Anthropocene, and the second one is why Anthropocene is not accepted as the current geological epoch. So, what is Anthropocene? So, Anthropocene is part of the geological time division, and geological time division is nothing but the Earth's history divided into smaller chunks of time. And Anthropocene comes under epoch. So by Anthropocene, we mean the time when us human and our human activities has the major influence on the Earth's atmosphere and climate. So our human activities cause a lot of changes in the atmosphere and the climate of the Earth. And it is unofficial. We can see why in the further explanation. So the time division of the Earth's history is divided into eons, epoch, period, and ages. So Anthropocene comes under epoch. Now let's look at some theories related to Anthropocene. So before we come into theories, let's see why theories are important when we study a topic such as Anthropocene. So Anthropocene is a widely debated topic, and so that means that different people express different opinions about it. So there's even an argument telling that Anthropocene is not real, and we are still in the Holocene, which started about 11,700 years ago. That's right after the last major ice age. But people who believe that the Anthropocene has already started say that it has started either during the 1800s or in the 1950s, because two major events happened during these times. So in the 1800s, there was the Industrial Revolution, which had a huge impact on the methane levels of the Earth's atmosphere. And during the 1950s, there was the atomic bomb test, and it sent out a lot of radioactive dust particles, and it had a major impact on the people living around. Like there was a lot of people who had a lot of genetic mutations because of the radioactive dust particles. And the first ever theory about Anthropocene came out in the 19th century, and it is known as the social evolution theory or the unilinear theory, which basically talks about the changes that happen in the society because of the human activities. Famous anthropologists. So the first famous anthropologist is Franz Boas, and he's known as the father of anthropology. And why he is known as the father of anthropology is because even though we had all these theories, he was the first ever person to use these theories and study more about Anthropocene. Then we have Margaret Mead. She's the first ever female anthropologist, and she was also a speaker during the 1960s and 1970s. So she wrote a lot of articles and did a lot of public speaking, and she constantly expressed her idea about Anthropocene in those writings and speech. Then we have Madhumala Chattopadhyay. She is the first Indian anthropologist, and a very interesting fact about her is There's a tribe known as Sentinelese tribe, and they are known to be the world's most isolated tribe. And she was the first woman to come in contact with this tribe. So the Sentinelese tribe are the indigenous inhabitants of the North Sentinel Islands in the Bay of Bengal in the northeastern Indian Ocean. Then when we come to the branches of anthropology, we have branches. There is the biological anthropology, human body and the changes that happen because of the environmental stress that we go to. And then we have archaeology. And in archaeology, we study about the different land masses and the changes that happen in the land masses because of the human activities, like soil erosion and all happens because of human activities, which is, for example, deforestation. And then we have cultural anthropology. So there's a lot of different types of cultures in our planet Earth. And some of these cultures are slowly disappearing because some people move away from their origin places and then they adapt to a different culture. And then soon the culture that they used to be in slowly starts disappearing. So they study about how we can bring back these cultures too. And then we have linguistic anthropology, in which they study about the different languages of the earth. And we know that not one language is there at universe and or on earth. And there are different languages, but some languages are even disappearing. For example, in Turkey, in the mountain ranges, there's a special language that they used to use called the Kush Dili, and spoken by whistling. And it is also known as the language, and not a lot of people know how to speak it. Now it's shown that only about 100 people know how to speak this language. So that means that it has drastically changed and it's slowly disappearing. Now, when we come to the topic, why Anthropocene is not accepted as the current geological epoch is because, as I said before, Anthropocene is a widely debated topic and not everybody expresses the same idea about it. So there's a lot of clash between the two communities that believe that we are in the Anthropocene and the Holocene. So since not everybody shares the same opinion, it's hard for the whole world to completely accept it as the current geological epoch. And many people even say that the theories that we have found is not true and it did not cause much changes to the atmosphere and the climate. But in reality, it did change, but not everybody is accepting it. So it's really hard to accept Anthropocene as the current geological epoch. Thank you. Over to Sri.
Devi.
I think she has got internet problems.
Yes, sir. She's got disconnected.
She'll join back.
Seems you can check with Sridevi.
Okay.
Ma'am, can we continue?
Yeah, I think we can continue.
She is trying to connect, ma'am. She has got some net issues today. So next is by Rishita Sharika, ma'am.
Okay, let's continue. Yeah. Okay.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Rishida Shiju, and my topic is Anthropocene and Poem Content. So now I'm going to be explaining some famous books on Anthropocene fiction. So this book was written by Adam Texler. Anthropocene fiction is the first systematic examinations of the hundreds of novels that have been written about anthropogenic climate change, drawing on climatology, sociology, and philosophy of science, and environmental economics. Adam Texler argues that the novel has become an essential tool to construct meaning in an age of climate change. As an extreme timely contribution to the urgent discussions of uh, climate change and culture in the Anthropocene, Anthropocene fictions deserves high praise for carefully documenting the longer history of climate change novels, as well as projecting forward into the uncertain futures of post-apocalyptic writings. Anthropocene fictions argues the new modes of inhabiting climate change are of the utmost critical and political importance when unprecedented scientific consensus has failed to lead to action. This book was written by John Green. John Green is the award-winning first best-selling author of books. His books has received many accolades, including a Prince Medal, a Prince Honor, and an Edgar Award. Based on the popular podcast on the same name, this book is a series of essays that reviews different parts of the human experience. This book has a diverse yet interesting list of phenomena that Green decided to review. Each essay talks about a subject that is connected to the author's life. The Anthropocene Reviewed too teaches the reader a lot about the world while encouraging them to think in different ways about the information that is provided to us. This book was written by Gay Evans, a journalist specializing in science and environment. Gay Evans' Adventures in the Anthropocene, A Journey to the Heart of the Planet We Made, 2014, looks at humankind's impact on Earth at the dawn of a new era scientists call the Anthropocene or Age of Man. Anthropocene is generally traceable back to the Industrial Revolution of the mid-19th century, says Vince. In reality, the effect humans have had on the world has been evident since World War II. This book looks at how we are reshaping our living planet and explores how we might engineer Earth for our future. This book was written by Elizabeth Goldberg. Field Notes was refreshing, a trailblazer in which Elizabeth on climate as talked about how life change, rather than change being an abstract notion, something that we might have to deal with one day. That being affected by it. Now I'm going to talk about a documentary. Anthropocene, the Human Epoch is a 4 years in the making feature documentary from the multiple award-winning Edward Britinsky. At the intersection of art and science, the Human Epoch is an experiential.
Rishita's disconnect. The grade 9, almost everybody have network issues usually.
Actually, ma'am, Sridevi was supposed to share it all.
Yeah. Now Sridevi is here. Are you?
Yes,
yeah. Will you be able to do your portion, Sridevi?
Sridevi, shall I share it for you?
Ma'am, I think I'll be able to do it.
Okay, fine.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am S. Sridevi Menon, and my topic is how Anthropocene activities are affecting the environment. There are various species and organisms living on planet Earth, and human beings are just one among them. But humans have become the single most influential species on the planet. And over the years, human activities have affected the environment intensely. And these effects always do not have to be good. They can be bad too. In this presentation, we'll be taking a quick look into some of the negative impacts that Anthropocene activities have on the environment. These are a few effects that Anthropocene activities have on the environment. They are global warming and climate change, changes in water cycle, disappearance of forests, acidification of water bodies, and imbalances and destruction in the marine ecosystems. These are the effects we'll be discussing about in this presentation. The first topic is global warming. Global warming is the long-term heating of Earth's climate system observed since the pre-industrial period, which is between 1850 and 1900, due to human activities, primarily fossil fuel burning, which increases heat-trapping greenhouse gas levels in Earth's atmosphere. Since the pre-industrial period, human activities are estimated to have increased Earth's global average temperature by about 1 degree Celsius, a number that is currently increasing by 0.2 degrees Celsius per decade. The term global warming is frequently used interchangeably with the term climate change, though the latter, which is climate change, refers to both human as well as naturally produced warming and the effects it has on our planet. Next, we have changes in water cycle. Climate change is causing parts of the water cycle to speed up as warming global temperatures increase the rate of evaporation worldwide. More evaporation is causing more precipitation. Higher evaporation and precipitation rates are not evenly distributed around the world. Some areas may experience heavier than normal precipitation, whereas others may become prone to droughts. This is because the traditional locations of rain belts and desert shift in response to a changing climate. Some climate models predict that in the future, coastal regions will become wetter and the middle of continents will become drier. Apart from this, some models also forecast that there will be more evaporation and rainfall over oceans, but not necessarily over land. Disappearance of forests. At present, forests cover about 30% of the world's land area, but they are disappearing at an alarming rate. Between 1990 and 2016, the world lost about 1.3 million square kilometers of forest, which, according to the World Bank, is an area larger than the whole of South Africa. About 17% of the Amazonian forest has been destroyed over the past 50 years, and losses recently have been on the rise. The next topic is acidification of water bodies. Aquatic acidification refers to a reduction in the pH of the ocean for an extended period of time, caused primarily by uptake of carbon dioxide, which is CO2 from the atmosphere. Anthropocene activities on Earth have considerably accelerated acidification by enhancing natural processes, as well as by changing dynamics, balances, and pathways. The reasons of aquatic acidification may be artificial or natural. The example for a natural cause is volcanic eruption. And some artificial reasons are acid rains or pyrite oxidations caused by mining or even agriculture. The last topic is imbalances and destruction in the marine ecosystems. The marine ecosystems are threatened by anthropogenic disturbances such as overexploitation, habitat destruction, pollution, etc. Overexploitation. Overexploitation of both living and non-living marine resources leads to unstable ecosystem. The causes for overexploitation may be artificial or natural, and up to an extent, The marine ecosystem has the capability to withstand natural processes which causes overexploitation. But over the past 100 years, the capacities of marine ecosystems to withstand either human-induced or natural disturbances have been eroded considerably. Habitat destruction. The inappropriate agricultural and forestry land use practices, destructive fishing practices, unregulated coastal developmental activities, and mining and dredging activities limit the suitability of coastal and marine habitats for the organisms to thrive and sustain. Pollution. The marine ecosystems are polluted by sewage from industrial and urban discharges, waste discharged during the extraction of minerals, oil, and gas, sea transport activities, accidental spillage of oil and other transported material, accumulation of plastic debris, etc. These organic and inorganic pollutants have the tendency to accumulate along the food chain and affect the ecosystem in its entirety. We must understand that overexploitation, habitat destruction, and pollution are not the only causes of imbalances and destruction in the marine ecosystems. There are millions and billions of such causes, and these are just three among many. We can understand that almost all these situations are interrelated. One situation leads to another. For example, due to global warming, we can witness a change even in the water cycle. We may think that we can take our resources for granted, and even if the environment is affected, we'll be able to live comfortably. But that is nothing more than a misconception. We must understand that we are the ones who will be paying the price for all our actions towards the future environment in the future, and we must put a stop to all such activities, or else the Anthropocene may end up being the last era on planet Earth. Thank you, and over to Rishita.
Sridevi, as Rishida has got network issues, could you please share Rishida's also?
Rishita is done, no, Jinsibus?
It's not fully done, ma'am.
Okay.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Rishida Shiju, and my topic is Anthropocene fiction and post-human concept. So now I'm going to be explaining some famous books on Anthropocene fiction. This book was written by Adam Texler. Anthropocene Fictions is the first systematic examination of the hundreds of novels that have been written about anthropogenic climate change. Drawing on climatology, the sociology and philosophy of science, geography, and environmental economics, Adam Texler argues that the novel has become an essential tool to construct meaning in an age of climate change. As an extreme timely contributions to the urgent discussions of climate change and culture in the Anthropocene, Anthropocene fictions deserves high praise for carefully documenting the longer history of climate change novels as well as projecting forward into the uncertain futures of post-apocalyptic writings. Anthropocene fictions argues that new modes of inhabiting climate are of the utmost critical and political importance when unprecedented scientific consensus has failed to lead to action. This book was written by John Green. John Green is the award-winning first best-selling author of books. His books has received many accolades, including a Prince Medal, a Prince Honor, and an Edgar Award. Based on the popular podcast on the same name, this book is a series of essays that reviews different parts of the human experience. This book has a diverse yet interesting list of phenomena that Green decided to review. Each essay talks about the subject which is connected to the author's life. The Anthropocene Review too teaches the reader a lot about the world while encouraging them to think different ways about the information that is provided to us. This book was written by Gay Evans. Gay Evans is a journalist and a broadcaster specializing in science and environment. Gay Evans' Adventures in the Anthropocene, A Journey to the Heart of the Planet We Made, 2014, looks at humankind's impact on Earth at the dawn of a new era scientists call the Anthropocene or Age of Man. Anthropocene is generally traceable back to the Industrial Revolution of the mid-19th century, says Vince. In reality, the effects humans have had on the world has been evident since World War II. This book looks at how we are reshaping our living planet and explores how we might engineer Earth for our future. This book was written by Elizabeth Colbert. Field Notes was a refreshing trailblazer in which Elizabeth Colbert actually went to communities that were being affected, that were on the front line of climate change, as the book says. She talked to people about how their daily lives, their livelihoods, and traditions were changing. Rather than climate change being an abstract notion, something that we might have to deal with one day in the future, when you read the book, that is actually caring and realizing that people are being affected by it now. Now I'm going to talk about a documentary film. Anthropocene, The Human Epoch is a 4 years in the making feature documentary film from the multiple award-winning team of Jennifer Bachwal, Nicolas Depensia, and Edward Britinsky. At the intersections of art and science, Anthropocene, The Human Epoch witnesses, in an experiential and non-didactic sense, a critical moment in geological history, bringing a provocative and unforgettable experience of our species' breadth and impact. Anthropocene, The Human Epoch, takes cameras to where our conceptive need has most alarmingly re-engineered the planet. It's also, in many ways, a document of a spiritual or environmental undoing. Now I'm going to be showing a video on post-human concept. Post-human is a concept originating in the fields of science, fiction, futurology, contemporary art, and philosophy that means a person or entity that exists in a state beyond being human. The concept addresses questions of ethics and justice, language and trans-species communication, social system, and the intellectual aspirations of interdisciplinarity. Posthumanism is not to be confused with transhumanism, which is the biotechnological enhancement of human beings. One of the best posthuman examples is Sophia, a realistic humanoid robot that is capable of displaying human-like expressions and interacting with people. It is designed for research, education, and entertainment, and helps promote public discussion about AI ethics and future of robotics. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Sushi Matthew. Today, I will be explaining about what are the predictions from the course of evolution for human beings during the Anthropocene. The theory of use and disuse. The theory of use and disuse was found by Jean-Baptiste Lamarck. He was born in 1774 and he died on 1829. He was a French botanist and he was the first one to find the theory of use and disuse. As you can see his picture. In this theory of use and disuse, the theory explains that the part of an organism that uses most will undergo hypertrophy and then it will become more developed. Hypertrophy is the growth of specific organ or a tissue. So with this, we can say that the more an organism uses part of its body, the larger and more developed part that part will become. Similarly, the part of the organism that's not much used will undergo atrophy. Atrophy is the degradation of any organ or tissue. It also means that any part of an organism will get decreased in size. It is because of the lack of use for that particular part for the organism. Now, what will happen to a brain in future? So we have no ancient brain with us, so we can't find what will happen to a brain, but still we can find it. We can find it by looking onto the ancient skulls and the few rare fossils that have been preserved in natural cast of the interior of skulls. There are many approaches on looking to the early skulls, and it also gives us many evidence on how our brain will change in the future. So what will happen to our body size in future? So the average body size of humans have changed over millions of years. It is because it's strongly linked to temperature. Cold and harsh climates give us the large body sizes, while warmer climates give us smaller bodies. In the future, if the new medical technology will be applied, then it will be cited as the key that will cause a rapid rise in healthcare costs. What will happen to our teeth in future? With the methods that scientists and dentists are now using, is the method known as custom-made teeth. It is made from patients' very own genes. They are made under artificial materials like porcelain and resin obsolete. And new research have been found that now regrowing teeth is possible. But for the studies and testing still need to be conducted. If it comes, it could change the dental care in coming years. Now let us watch a video for more explanation.
What will humans look like in 10,000 years? What about in 1,000,000 years? Will we look like this guy? Probably not, but we'll definitely look different than we do now. What parts of our body would evolve? How long would evolving our bodies take? And who would win the survival of the fittest? This is What If, and here's what would happen if our bodies kept evolving. It took roughly 6 million years for humans to become what we are today, and modern humans have only been around for about 12,000 of those years. Even in that short period of time, humans have evolved slightly. We've become about 10 centimeters taller, and now we can eat dairy foods after childhood. So, if those things can happen in 12,000 years, where might we be hundreds of thousands of years into the future? First, we should probably figure out exactly what evolution is. Evolution is all about changes in the genetic makeup that happen to a species over time. Species with more advantageous traits will tend to have more offspring, so those genetic traits will tend to carry on to later generations. For example, giraffes with longer necks who can reach more food will be able to survive better than giraffes with short necks. And they'll be able to have more babies who will likely have longer necks just like their parents. And as time goes on, the short-necked giraffes will die out and the long-necked giraffes are the only ones left. That's why all our giraffes today have long necks. So how does this apply to humans exactly? Well, evolution in this sense is actually very hard to predict. In the world we live in, we don't need to worry about survival of the fittest. Technology has effectively canceled a lot of that. You no longer need to worry about being the fastest or the strongest. This isn't 100,000 years ago when you had to fight for your food. Things like houses to live in and clean running water make surviving so much easier. You never think to yourself, how am I going to survive today? But that's something our ancestors had to worry about constantly. it's not guaranteed that 1 million years from now, humans will be stronger, faster, and bigger than ever before. After all, having children today is generally decided by culture and personal choice rather than the need for our species to survive. Our future will be decided by the traits of people who have children and how many children they have. If people who are naturally overweight and have health problems are the only ones having kids over the next million years, then that's how the human race will end up. But we might not need to worry about any of these natural occurrences. Instead, we could become completely fused with technology before any of this happens. Cybernetic arms, brain chips, and laser eyes could all become possibilities. Not only that, but we also might be able to alter a baby's genes before they're born, completely getting rid of evolution altogether. This would allow us to get rid of diseases and any other genetic traits that might harm us. But if we didn't have this luxury and we had to evolve the old-fashioned way, there's a few things that might happen. We just need to look at how modern humans have evolved in the past 12,000 years. We know we've been getting taller, most likely due to nutrition, and that our brains have been getting smaller. But don't worry, we haven't been getting dumber. Our brains are actually becoming more efficient. So, in 1 million years, we might be incredibly tall humans with tiny heads. Does that remind you of anything? At the end of the day, human evolution is incredibly difficult to predict. That's because evolution is primarily based on our environment. And who knows what might happen to the Earth in the next million years? We might need to evolve to survive fires, as the planet will become so incredibly hot. Ugh, I so hope I'm not around for that. Or, in the next million years, we might live on other planets, like Mars. Humans would evolve to look completely different there, as they'd be living in entirely different conditions than here on Earth. Wondering what living on the red planet would be like? Well, that's a story for another What If.
Thank you. Over to Imran.
Good morning. My name is Imran, and today my topic is a scientific solution to prevent adverse effect of anthropogenic activities. The first method is the 3 R's: reduce, reuse, and recycle. All help to cut down on the amount of waste we throw away. Reduce. Reducing just means to reduce the amount of waste generated in our house, or we would just end up burning it, which is bad for the environment. Then there's reuse. Reusing is there in the word itself. That is to reuse repeatedly. For example, reusing wrapping paper or plastic bags. Recycling. Recycling is the process of collecting and processing materials that would otherwise be thrown away as trash and turning them into new products. And for recycling, I would like to say an example. That is the medals in the Tokyo Olympics that were given to the winners were all made of recycled electrical devices. The Tokyo 2020 medal project collected 70 pounds of gold, 7,700 pounds of silver, and 4,850 pounds of bronze. The next method is chemical treatment. Chemical treatments are techniques adopted to make industrial water suitable for discharge. Chlorine is a highly effective method of disinfection. The first step is coagulation and flocculation. Chemicals with the positive charges are added to water to neutralize negative charges of dirt and other dissolved particles. When this happens, the particles bind with the chemicals to form larger particles called floc. The next is sedimentation. In sedimentation, this floc just settles to the bottom of the water supply due to its weight. Filtration. After sedimentation, the water will be filtered out. This filter has sand, gravel, and charcoal in order to remove dust, parasites, bacteria, etc. Disinfection. After water has been filtered, a disinfectant like chlorine would be added to kill any remaining parasites or bacteria to prevent the water from it when it is piped to homes and buildings. The next method is sewage treatment. Sewage treatment is a type of wastewater treatment which aims to remove contaminants from sewage to produce an effluent that is suitable for discharge to the surrounding environment. Filtration. Wastewater is passed through a bar screen and any large objects like rags and water bottles are removed. This is a picture of a bar screen. The waste gets stuck in these grills. Grit and sand removal. Wastewater is passed slowly through a sedimentation tank. Grit, sand, and pebbles settle at the bottom. Sedimentation. The solids in the water that is in the sedimentation tank settle at the bottom and floatable impurities float on the surface of the water. Scraper removes the solids at the bottom of the water and skimmer removes the floatable impurities. This is a sedimentation tank. Aeration. Air is pumped to the water so that the bacteria can proliferate. Bacteria consumes the human wastes. These microbes settle down after a few hours and the water at the top is removed. This water is fit for irrigation. This is a picture of water being aerated. Last step is chlorination. The water that has been aerated is not fit for human consumption, so chlorine is added. Thank you, and over to Sriyeri.
Okay, so let's start. Welcome. My name is Sriyeri VS and today we are going to discuss the topic remedial measures taken by different countries against anthropogenic activities. Sweden. It sounds incredible, but Sweden has run out of trash and is actually asking other countries for their garbage so as it can keep its recycling plants running. Sweden contains 32 waste management plants which produce heat for about 8,10,000 Swedish households and electricity for about 2,50,000 private houses. The country has adopted a recycling policy which funnels all the energy generated by burning waste into the national heating network. This provides an efficient way to heat homes through the freezing Swedish winter. Singapore's Semonkau landfill. This landfill is not just a landfill, it's a biodiversity hotspot filled with rich coral reefs, flourishing mangroves, and is also placed 8 kilometers from the south of Singapore. Now, why is this so useful? It is because the waste that has been collected from the cities and incinerated ash, and then each cell is covered with a layer of soil, and once it has been filled to ground level, eventually grass and trees take root to form a green landscape. A new tipping cell is activated by sealing of the concrete pipes that connect the cell to the sea. An empty space through which we can dump waste again is created. Indonesia. This scheme aims to tackle both poverty and waste in Indonesia, a country where more than 10% live below the poverty line. The scheme inspires low-income households to recycle their trash because by doing so, they will be able to finance in their health insurances. The clinic takes in the trash from people and then gives this trash to recyclers for recycling. The money that is collected from the recyclers are then spent on giving people basic health insurance. Colombia's EcoBot. So, how does this machine work? Every time you deposit a transparent plastic bottle or the caps, you receive a coupon offered by associated companies called Eco Partners. From restaurant coupons to movie tickets to shopping dollars, this machine covers it all. As for all the plastic that is collected, they are sent to recycling plants instead of landfills. Uganda. Artist and environmentalist Ruganzo Bruno has created an amusement park for the children living in the slums of Kampala in Uganda. However, this is no ordinary amusement park, but one built entirely by waste. Bruno first collected all the waste generated by the villagers there and then, with their help, refashioned this waste to make swings and life-size board games. The goal of this artist was to make more than 100 such similar amusement parks in the other parts of Uganda. Japan. The Tokyo Olympics are also using sustainable materials in just about every facet of their event. Athletes sleep on recyclable cardboard beds, podiums have been made from recycled plastic, and medals have been made with metals obtained from recycled phones and other electric devices. The Google Office. This open environment gives employees a level of autonomy they may not have at other countries. Employees aren't chained to their desks. They can work in beanbag chairs, lounge areas, the cafeteria, or anywhere else they feel the most protected. Google looks for employees who are self-driven, fun, creative, and outspoken. Thank you. And over to Angelina.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Angelina Biju, and this is my topic. If the Homo sapiens are facing an extinction, what will be the fate of our Earth? Human beings have a particular part of their own environment, that is starting from fire to farming. But this Homo sapiens on the Earth has reached a level that it shows the present geological time. What will happen? Our Earth can survive just fine without us, and there are many other experts and scientists who believe that humans will probably be extincted sooner rather than later. So this is the picture of Professor Frank Fenner in the year 2010. He said that human beings might be extincted in the next century, and he also said that thanks to overpopulation, environmental destruction and climate changes, humans are not being extincted till now. Thank you.
A warm and graceful evening to all the dignitaries, teachers, parents, and dear friends. It is my privilege to propose a vote of thanks and acknowledge the contribution of those who worked really hard to make this project-based learning happen. I, BRV, on behalf of Garden Public School, first of all, extend my most sincere thanks to the Almighty God for making today's event a resounding success. With His blessings and grace, we are able to make this event a remarkable one. On behalf of my school, I extend a hearty vote of thanks to our guest of honor, Mr. Rajneesh, Executive Principal, who spared his time from the busy schedule to grace this occasion. Thanks to all the dignitaries and guardian family. Sincere gratitude to all the parents and well-wishers for your support and encouragement. Finally, I would like to thank all my dear friends for your days of hard work was evident in your performance. Last but not least, a big thank you to each one of you who made this project-based learning memorable for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.